Hello and welcome back for another session of Uncle Randy's Guns. Today we're going to talk about a cartridge and some rifles. Cartridge being the 25-06 Remington. It's been around for about 100 years in one form or another. Around 1919 or 1920, someone decided to take a 30-06 cartridge and neck it down or close the opening in the shell enough to hold a 25 caliber bullet. For about the first 50 years, it was considered a wildcat, meaning that some people used it, but it was never picked up by Winchester, Remington, Savage, any of the big companies. So people had to get guns specially made for it and either reload their own ammo or have somebody reload it for them. 25-06 shoots a smaller bullet compared to a 30-06. I'd say a 30-06 typically shoots 150 to 180 grain bullet, where the 25-06 typically 90 to 120 grain. Most companies load 100, 115, 120 grain. This happens to be a 117 grain bullet. I'm not sure why that was chosen, but there are a couple companies that load that bullet, 117 grain. It's a good cartridge for deer and antelope, probably a little more popular in the Midwest and Western states than it is in the East. But around 1969, Remington picked it up and decided to start making rifles for it and loading ammo for it. So it had a brief period there where it was pretty popular. It sort of ebbed and flowed in popularity, had some small groups of people that really thought it was something, but most people weren't that excited about it. Recently, with the 6.5 Creedmoor becoming very popular, I initially thought that the 25-06 would probably die out even more, but it seems to have made a little bit of a resurgence. I think people realize that the 6.5 Creedmoor is pretty amazing, but the 25-06 is pretty similar actually. So that's kind of the history of the 25-06. I happen to have 3 rifles here in that caliber. I haven't been a big user of the 25-06 over the course of my hunting, but I happen to have 3 guns here, and I hope to scope them up and shoot them and do a video showing you how they do. The first rifle I have is a Tikka T3. If you don't know, Tikkas are made in Finland. They're not overly popular in the United States. Seem to be catching on a little bit due to the history of being very accurate and having a very nice action and trigger. Tikkas are actually made by the parent company Seiko or Sako in Finland. They're a little more expensive. Tikka is kind of their bargain or cheaper line, but very nice guns, very good shooting, very good reputation. So I like them. They shoot well. They're nice guns. This model probably runs you about 600, brand new, 550 to 600. It's kind of their base model. Second gun I have is a Winchester Model 70. Interesting history for Winchester. They were made for a lot of years in the United States, specifically in New Haven, Connecticut. In around 2006, they couldn't keep up. Their quality was falling off a little bit and things were getting too expensive. Probably mostly their employees were getting paid a lot. So they ended up closing up their plant in Connecticut. Bounced around a little bit, and then the parent company that owns Browning bought them. And now they're actually made in Portugal or the Philippines or one of those places. They're not made in the US anymore. This happens to be one that was made in New Haven, Connecticut. I sort of collect them a little bit. They're my favorite rifle. So the Winchester has a control round feed, or the Mauser style feed and ejection. Has a 3-position wing safety, hinge floor plate. That's 25-06. And then the third one I have is a Weatherby Mark V. Weatherby makes a Vanguard line that's less expensive. They're actually made in Japan. The Mark V's were made in Japan for quite a few years, and then in the mid-90s they brought it back, and it's made in the USA again. Pretty nice gun. Has a very short lift on the bolt. More 2-position safety. Good trigger, hinge floor plate. 25-06 also. As you noticed, maybe, that none of these have rings on. So I hope to get tallies for the Tikka. I actually ordered those yesterday. Hopefully they'll come here in a couple days. Tallies are probably my favorite scope mounts. Maybe they'll sponsor me someday. The Winchester has Leupold type bases on it. I think I have Leupold rings that I can use. And then the Weatherby had actually Weatherby type bases and rings on, but I didn't like, there were a lot of little pieces that you had to screw together. So I took those off, and I hope to get tallies for those too. So that's a little bit of history of the 25-06 and a couple different rifles. On these three, I hope to put these burst scopes. I actually have 2 of these, and I want to pick up a third one. It's the 4.5 to 14 by 42 long range, called a full field E1, I think. Has a little bit of a different crosshair on with a lot of tick marks, but they're pretty nice scopes. They originally ran about $320, but recently they've been on sale a couple places for under $200. So 4.5 to 14 has the side focus for distance, keeps your sights in focus whatever distance you're at. So that's what I hope to put on these 3. Just need to pick up the scope mounts and pick up another one of these. So we'll make another video when I shoot those, see how that goes. And again, I appreciate you joining me.